Alrighty, welcome back to another episode of ADHD and Crochet. Today we are continuing on our turtle here, and we're pretty much just going to continue with turtles for the next couple videos. Alright, I did change my needle this time to a metal one. I learned that I really don't like using the larger plastic ones last time, because they kept getting stuck. So today we're going to go ahead and finish the little face on this guy, and put on the mouth, and then we will put on the fins and put on his home. Let's go ahead and do that. First I have to find my string, and now we can begin. If you ever have the misfortune of looking up sea turtle mouths, they have a bunch of spikes inside that go backwards because they tend to eat jellyfish. And when they do that, they take in a lot of water as well. So they have to have a way to get rid of that water and keep their food inside of them, and that's what those little spikes do. Which is actually why it's so dangerous for them to consume a plastic bag, because it functions the same as a jellyfish. Goes in, gets trapped by those little spikes, and can't come out. Sad to think about, but it is true. This metal needle is a better option for this as well, since the yarn is so rigid, especially once it's been crocheted. It just makes things a little easier. This one is also nice because it does have a little bit of a bend already in it. So while not quite a curved needle, it is very helpful. Bean has decided to be the menace today and get into things she probably shouldn't. Coffee break. I did make the mistake of making myself some coffee today, and I did use the espresso because that is the one that has the better taste of my instant coffees. Yes, there's instant espresso. But it's fine. I'll probably warm it up a few times today and just sip on it. There's no need for me to chug my entire cup of coffee in one morning. I feel like I'm sewing a mustache on. We are almost to the end here of the face being done. Means when I get to the flippers, the face will stop poking me so much. one of the turtles we are going to be working on today, I decided not to do the eyelids or the mouth and just leave it. It gives it a little bit cuter of a look, whereas these are a little more realistic. There's nothing wrong with either. Now, I don't actually know if we'll get to that turtle today. We may start it, I don't know. Just seeing as just the eyelids took about 20 to 30 minutes last time. Just the mouth has taken 5. And we've still got to do the flippers and the shell, but we may start that one. I think I'm going to go least complicated to most complicated. And this one somehow is the least complicated one. And I am going to go back and fix this little hidden string because it's not very well hidden and it's bothering me. Now it's not seen. Why are you like this? Cat's stepping on things that I don't want them to, and it's making noises. There we go. We have our little turtle face now. Alright, just going to pick a string, and whatever string that goes to a limb, we're going to work on that one. Which looks like it is that string. Going to move things out of the way. Alright, so we are just going to make sure that this is even. Looks like it, for the most part. We're going to go ahead and sew this one on. Instead of picking a flipper, it took the entire half the body to get stuck on. Now, these are probably going to get held at weird angles just because of the nature of how they bend. We're going to do our best to keep everything in the camera. I probably should have gone the other way with these, but I did not. And that's fine. We can make do. Sometimes when you're working on stuffed animals, you feel like a surgeon. I think it's because what you're working on has eyes. Right now I feel like I'm doing a reattachment surgery, but they've never been attached in the first place. This is looking pretty seamless, which is nice. It's always nice when that works out that way. I need to get myself a coffee mug that has a bunch of yarn on it. Or just is a yarn ball with a handle. That'd be fun. I like coffee mugs. I don't usually drink coffee, I usually drink tea, but today felt like a day for coffee. I tried to start this earlier today so that I'd have more time to record for you guys. So maybe I'll get through all of my turtles today, which would be over the next few weeks for you guys. But if my t-shirt changes, you know it's a different day. So if I sound a little more congested today, it's because I just woke up like less than 20 minutes ago. Starting this early has its benefits because the room is not as hot as it normally gets. It is still cool enough from not being touched by the sun just yet. We've made it back to the beginning of where we started on this, so we're going to go ahead and make our knot. Hide our string. And snip. Alright, we're going to go ahead and do the other side. Let's start at the bottom. We need to readjust the placement ever so slightly. We're going to readjust where our pins are facing as well. Nope, still not good enough. Gotta move it forward. This is all just trial and error. You gotta try it and make sure it works. Yeah, that's good enough. Sometimes you have to stare at it for a few minutes, walk away from it, and then come back, and then it'll look completely different. That whole look at it with fresh eyes thing, which gets a little annoying sometimes when you've been working on it for hours at a time and you just want it to be done. When you come back and realize it was not good. That happens. It's part of the creative process. It happens in art as much as it happens in writing. And it even happens in crafts, which is a form of art. And I will fight someone on that. I haven't heard anybody not call crafting a form of arts, because it is arts and crafts. They are just a more specific form of art. If you can't tell, the coffee is doing its job. Now, I do not take prescriptions for my ADHD. I sort of self do that with my coffee and tea. Coffee actually has too much caffeine for me. So it will eventually do what it does for normal people. But we start off with getting a little calmer, and then we bounce off the walls after that. So who knows? I might get 6 hours worth of sewing done in 3. We are already making good time on our pink turtle here, which the body has been reminding me of a bar of soap. Contort your hands in weird ways when you do sewing like this. Move my scissors before they drive me nuts. That little bit of tapping of the metal on the fake wood. Oh, this yarn was easy to work with for crocheting, but using it to sew itself together is a little bit difficult because it likes to fray and split apart and be weird. But it was a delight to work with for the actual crocheting part. Now, as always, the pattern for this will be available in the description. You can find her stuff on Amazon and on Etsy. Most of it's going to be on Etsy, but she does have 3 books and a 4th coming out soon. I definitely recommend her stuff. Her books are just really fun to work with. Hi, Bean. Say hello to the camera. Not my coffee. You definitely don't need coffee. Not that it makes you zoomy or anything. It's just bad for you. Hi. This is the part of the video where Bean now tries to roll on everything and I try to save everything. Stay out of my coffee. You don't understand that it's not good for you, but it's not good for you. Did you know that caffeine was a form of defense for the plant and is a pest control? And then humans came along and said, I like the Zoom juice. I think I actually got the feet as even as they're gonna get. Nope, this one needs to move forward slightly. There we go. Now we're on there pretty evenly. I think. So hard to tell. Yeah, I think we're fine. We'll just stretch this out a little bit. Move the pin a little bit so that it still holds it where I want it, but it is not in my way. We're not going to get rid of it just yet. I actually made this little guy entirely in the car. I really do crochet pretty much everywhere I go. We were going on a little trip, a little day trip to some caves, and it was a 2.5 hour drive one way, so I spent 5 hours of my day in the car, and I made a turtle. I think I only did the bottom part of the shell at home, but everything else was done in a car. So this is one of my projects that has traveled a little bit. My cats are making weird noises, and I'm just going to pretend I don't hear them. I always joke that I'm ready for dealing with a haunted house, like in my home, or just demons in my house. Just because I have cats, I will be immune. Because things go bump in the night, and I just go, I don't want to know. Did something break? I will go check, make sure nobody's hurt, and then go back to bed. But half the time it is a game of, is that a demon or a cat? It's probably a cat. I'm going back to bed. Now there are other people in my house aside from just me, so sometimes it is another person that is supposed to be there, and I just don't think of it. It's gonna be interesting when I do decide to have kids, though. I'll be like, that's a child. Why is the child up? What is the child doing? I already did that with one of my cats. I don't let my cats on my kitchen counter, but every other space in the house is pretty much fine. I prepare food on that counter, and while I know they tap dance on that counter at night, at least don't do it while I'm watching. And so, when we got one of our cats as a kitten, he was the only one that we got as a kitten, so while I was an adult. And so my body attached to him like he was my child. I'm not even his favorite, that is my husband. Which is fine, that's why we got him. But anyways, I hear one night, I wake up at like 2 a.m. to some noises in the kitchen. We were living in a small apartment. I heard everything, if it was quiet enough. And it was, because it was 2 a.m. And I'm just laying there going, yes, I know it's a cat doing something it's not supposed to in the kitchen. There is nothing that is going to harm the cat in the kitchen, so I don't need to worry about it. Go back to sleep. But I wouldn't until the noises stopped. My body went, the child is up, the child is doing something it's not supposed to. And I just went, it's a cat, and I don't care, because it's 2 a.m. and I have work in 3 hours. Bodies are weird. And we're going to hide this string. And now we can snip snip. So we have one last limb, and then we gotta hide the tail on the tail. And I have hiccups. And my face is itchy. Yay, allergies. I think we're gonna try and play D&D today. I think that was our family plan. I don't know. I don't remember. That was a conversation from yesterday. But we'll find out. I think that's one of the plans that I have. The other plan I have is I'm going to make little hand pies that are like little shepherd meat pies, but you can hold them. And I'm very excited. They look really good. But I have not had them before, so I'm trying not to get too excited, just in case I don't like them. So far, the cookbook that I've been getting all of my recipes out of has not failed me. This particular one has not had a bad one yet. Some ones that need some tweaking to be better, but they were not initially bad. They were just a little lackluster. But this one is going to have me make my own pie dough, pie crust. And I do want to go ahead and make that because everything in this book is handmade and I'm really excited for it. And it's also a rye pie dough, pie crust, whatever. It's going to be interesting. I've never made a pie crust before either, so I usually don't like pie crust. If it's used for something that's not a normal pie, I'll probably like it better. I like pie filling most of the time, but I don't like pie crust, so I generally don't like pie. I love cake. The only pies I really like are the ones that are like pudding in a pie crust, which does include pumpkin pie because it has a very pudding-like texture. A little greenier, if that makes sense, but it is still rather pudding-like. I like pudding a lot. And for anyone who may be in a different continent that's not American, I don't mean the bread that's called pudding. I mean Jello brand pudding. All right. Turtle is almost there. We almost have the last limb attached. Now, like I said before in the last video, I did not do these exactly as the pattern wanted me to. I did add that little ruffle. Well, I did a color change where it did not tell me to do a color change, essentially, is what I did. It wanted the flippers to all be one color, but due to the nature of this one and how many colors I did use on it, I wanted to make sure they actually went together. So I did do a color change just to help make everything look like it was purposeful. Alright, let's go ahead and hide this little tail here. Dipsqueak is in the building and making noises. Hi, peeps. now that we've given the kitty some attention, I'm going to just close this because this was the end of the body making process, whatever you want to call it, the end of the body pattern. And it didn't have me close that, so I'm going to go ahead and do so. That gives it a little bit more of a point. Going to make our knot. We're just going to slide this down the entire length of the tail, which is a very short tail. And then hide that string inside there. So now we have our body. He no longer looks entirely like bar soap, but he is still very satisfying to hold. They are just nice to hold like this. I don't know why. I think it just triggers my sensory things. I don't know, but I like it. Alright, so we have our bottom of the body, the bottom shell here. We're going to go ahead and lay that down, or we're going to flip him over and lay this on top of him. And it has me mark where the front and back of this is. So we're going to go ahead and line that up. So this is supposed to be like the center of the tail here. And this is supposed to be like the center of the head here. I'm going to go ahead and remove those now that I've got it pinned in place. I did not bring my little pin or stitch marker box in, but that's okay. Now I'm having a little bit of a conundrum because I need to go all the way around. But I've only got so many attachment points. I've got here, here, and here. These parts are going to be left open. And as are these, technically. Because these are actually going to attach to the top shell, which we're going to go ahead and pin on now. This one kind of looks like a pie crust. We're going to line that up so that this is the center. And we're once again going to pin it in place. Right there should be good. I'm going to remove this stitch marker. And I'm going to remove this stitch marker. I'm going to pin this a little better. There we go. I don't even remember if I did pin it in the first place. The way these are going to work is these two are going to be connected here. These points are going to be connected here, and these points are going to be connected here. But I need to here. I think what I might do is do the top first, and then just kind of stitch the bottom lightly. I think that's our best plan of attack here. So we found the end to our string. I'm going to make it work so it'll go through here. Now on the other turtles that I have here that are a little more complicated, each space is actually its own tile, including over here, these teeny tiny ones on the edge for the other turtles. And I will have to sew all of those to this top shell before I can sew the top shell to the body. This one is the no-sew option for the top shell only, which is why these are loose. You could tack them down if you really want to. I don't really care to. I don't think I'm gonna. Is Panzer gonna join us? No? Okay. There's already a cat up here. I'm gonna go for this little in between the stitch there. The other one's being unruly. That way we still have that little semblance of an edge there. Like I said last week, we are in the process of prepping to move in the next couple months. So I am trying to get as much content out early enough, or at least scheduled to be out, so that I don't have to think about it for as much. Don't have to think about doing it and don't have to take a hiatus either. But that being said, there is some yard work going on that you might hear. I don't know. I don't know how noise canceling these microphones are. But he's also weed whacking in rocks, so you never know. Just gotta position everything so that it holds where I want it to, which is sometimes the hardest part. Oops, and then I lost my string, which also makes things difficult. Oh. He's right outside the window, so he decided to knock and wave at me. We've been married for 6 years. And we've been a couple for longer. We are middle school sweethearts. Which does have a little bit of weirdness to tell people that we've been together since we were 13. But I don't really care. I'm just going to... It's not a box you can get in, sir. And you're making a lot of noise. Please stop. But anyways, I'm going to just go through a few stitches here, but it's not going to actually sew anything together, so it is just going to be open in that spot. There's nothing really to connect to until I get to like 2 more stitches. And I can start connecting to this bottom shell. Alright, now we can start connecting to this bottom shell here. To do that, I'm going to line up the next stitch best I can. Go in the middle of that stitch in the middle of this top stitch. So I'm kind of going through inside loops. That would be in this orientation, the back loop of the top layer and the front loop of the back layer. I'm just going to do that until I get close to this front flipper here. Now these shelves should have the same number of stitches, so it should line up pretty nicely. That doesn't mean it's gonna. Now she's going to lay on sharp things. Gently push the sharp things off the table. Thank you, babe. Sweet kitty. Sweet little menace. Problem with being allergic to everything in your state and then not being allergic to cats but having cats nonetheless, so their hair gets everywhere, is you can never tell if there is a piece of hair touching your face or if it's just your body reacting to existing. I'm pretty sure my coffee is now colder than the room I'm in. Somehow. Not iced coffee cold, and not room temperature cold. Somehow less than room temperature, even though it started off as hot. I don't get it either. It's probably not. It's probably just cooler than my body temperature, and my body temperature is just confusing me. But you never know. Alright, so it looks like we're probably just going to finish this turtle this time for this video. Maybe. We may have to finish it next time. I don't know. We still have like at least 20 minutes. Well, not 20, like 12 before this gets excessive. But there are a lot of stitches on this part, and that is fine. The slightly more complicated one that we're going to do after this one does require something be put under it because the majority of it is black yarn, so it will be a little difficult to see if I don't put anything under there, just in case anybody does actually look at my video and not just put it on for background noise. I'm sure you guys like to see the end product at least. But fair warning, this is the beginning of Turtle Mania. We do have a few more, or not the beginning, this is technically video 2 of Turtle Mania. So it looks like this turtle is going to potentially make itself known in the next video as well. Just because I'm only halfway done with the shell. And this is the least complicated one. So expect turtles for a while. I will probably be working on other things for videos after the turtle ones come out. But for now, it's going to be a lot of turtles. There are only 3 turtles, but it's going to feel like a lot more. Again, turtles are not actually my favorite animal, sea creature. It is probably octopi and the mantis shrimp and manta rays. But this pattern was just so fun that I had to do it 3 times. So, her turtle patterns are available on Etsy. I think she has a baby turtle version as well, so it's a little smaller. And not just by the yarn size that you use. I really hope she eventually turns all of her sea creatures into a book as well, so I can have printed versions of these. But right now, we have other mythical creatures, monsters, and imps, which are adorable, and I love them. I like the way this sticks out, so I'm just going to not sew it down. And her next video, or her next, not video, her next book is snails and mushrooms, or mushroom sprites, like little mushroom people. I'm very excited for that. So far, all of her books have been super customizable, and I love that. But I would also like just a book of her regular patterns as well. Even this one was pretty customizable, as we'll see in the next video when I get to the next one, just because it does have the option for this low sewing option and a more intense sewing option. I love both. Both did not take me very long to make, despite the many parts that are going to be involved for the shells of the next two turtles. Oh no. Oh no. My strings. They got attached to each other. I have to rip them apart. Okay, we're good now. Crisis averted. Oh yeah, we're definitely not finishing this turtle, this video, because I just remembered we still have to actually sew the bottom shell to the body as well. So what we're going to do is we're just going to finish this top part here. We may not even fully finish it. We'll probably finish to the front flipper there. And then call it a day. Let's go ahead and do one last stitch there. And then we'll start doing our little stitches to just move our yarn, because I want this to stay sticking out like that. Doing this kind of creates a little bit of an edge on the turtle shell as well, which is kind of neat. But the reality is I just want it to stick out and don't want to sew it all the way down. One more of these, and then we will attach to the front zipper. Now, in reality, the attachment to the shell is going to be a little deeper. So in these little parts that I left open, those would be attached inside there to the turtle's body. But this is a stuffed animal, and no one cares. And if you do, I'm sorry. I'm not that sorry, though. Not sorry enough to do anything about it. This is already going to take up three videos of content. He's already been in one other video. They say that everyone should get their 15 minutes of fame. He's going to get 3 hours. It's fine. Alright, now we can do a little space right here. I'm going to use it on this side. like 3 stitches, so we'll just do 3 stitches on this side. And 3. Then we'll line this up so that we can start doing attachment here. I'm just going to try and drag the head into this, but we're not about that life here. So it's kind of funny that this only took me about 5, maybe 6 hours to make all the parts for, but it's going to take me like 3 hours to sew it. So almost the same amount of time to sew it together, or not almost, about half the amount of time to sew it together as it did to make it. Now I have really loose tension in my crochet stitches, so it will probably take other people longer. I have some friends that this would probably take a couple weeks just to make the parts, and that's not even including sewing time. And that's pretty normal for people, I think, especially people who have tighter tension, smaller stitches. If you do have a really tight tension and you want things to be a little easier on you and go a little faster, use a crochet hook that is a little larger than the recommended size, and that'll help loosen the tension on the integrity of the stitches a little bit. But yeah, we are reaching the end of our allotted time. I'm not close enough to done with this project to just keep going on beyond 60 minutes. So we are just going to do a couple more stitches here, and then we will stop. And I appreciate you all. We will see you guys in the next time. If you like the video, go ahead and like the video. And if you would like more content like this, if you'd like to continue seeing Turtle Mania, watch me actually finish this little guy, go ahead and subscribe so you get notified when the next video is out. Nina's going to clean herself on the way out. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!